Another thing I want to talk about, something I kind of want to come back to, are my AFC South predictions. Now, I had a few angry responses to that, and I understand. When you make predictions, fans are going to get annoyed when, say, they had a nice offseason, they had some few big signings, a couple big additions, and all of a sudden you say, yeah, you're not making the playoffs. I understand, but, you know, 14 teams are going to make the playoffs. All right, 14 teams are going to make the playoffs. Simple as that. That means 18 teams are not. So I have to pick 18 teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, and if your team isn't there, I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Now, I won't leave it at that, but the point of a prediction is that I might be wrong. It's not me saying that it'll definitely happen, but if I had to bet $1,000,000 on it, that's what I would go with. And here, let me provide some more reasoning to what I said about the AFC South. I have the Texans at the top not only because they have a recent history of success, but because they didn't get too much worse over the offseason. I'm not trying to downplay their loss in DeAndre Hopkins, but they got a replacement. Did they get another DeAndre Hopkins? No, not at all. But they did still get a solid receiver. Watson is a great quarterback, and I feel like he's still going to be able to work well. It's still a solid receiving core. It's not like it all of a sudden got terrible because it lost DeAndre Hopkins. Granted, it's not as dominant anymore, but it will still be strong. Not to mention, they have a great low-risk, high-reward player in David Johnson. David Johnson hasn't panned out lately, and I'm not sure if he will this season, but I bet that if he does, the run game will make Hopkins' loss much less impactful on offensive production. If you're running the ball more, if you have a solid running back, a solid run game, losing a big-time receiver like DeAndre Hopkins will not hurt your team as much as it would if you were reliant on the pass game. So we'll see. But I have the Texans at the top for those simple reasons. Now moving on to the next team, the Jaguars. Now one main response, and I understand this, was bewilderment in the form of why in the fuck are the Jags above the Titans. I have one reason. Gardner Minshew. I'm a believer in Minshew mania, and I believe that Minshew has a lot of heart in the game of football. He loves the game. You can tell it when he plays. Now, I'm not trying to say that he's the only player in the NFL that loves the game. No, but he has a lot of heart, and a lot of heart transfers right to the field. He doesn't seem afraid when he walks out on the field. He doesn't seem that nervous. He seems like he knows what he's there to do, and he knows he's going to get it done. And I honestly feel like he's going to bring that heart right back into the Jags offense, just like he did this year. That's how Minshew Mania got started. That's how he amplified the Jaguars offense. Now, he didn't make it stellar, but he amplified it. Now, ultimately, both the Jaguars and the Titans will make the playoffs, but it will be really close. Like I said, heart can take you a long way, and we saw that in the relatively recent Colts. No, not this year's Colts, but the year before that in 2018 when they made the playoffs. Now, ultimately, like I said, both the Jags and Titans will make the playoffs. The Titans just paid big money on a big deal, not insane money, but big money on a big deal to Tannehill, under the impression that their run game will continue to be as strong as it is. I don't think they gave that money to Tannehill because their run game is really good. No, they gave that money to Tannehill because Tannehill didn't screw the team over. A lot of quarterbacks that you put in nowadays fall under the pressure, and they fall apart, and they mess up your team. You want a quarterback who isn't going to throw interceptions that end the game for you. Tannehill didn't do that last year, and that's why they want him back. Although, I feel like we often forget where players come from. Why is Tannehill so successful all of a sudden? Where was he before the Titans? Or at least he's paid for a starting role now. Now, it's because Tannehill is a solid quarterback. I'm not trying to downplay Tannehill's talent at all. He's a solid quarterback. He's got a good arm. He's got good accuracy. He can make good decisions. But only if you don't need to rely on his arm to win you the game. He was on a bad team with the Dolphins, and we saw that he couldn't turn that team around. Even when they had a little bit of talent here and there offensively, he still couldn't make it happen. Now, it's because Tannehill isn't the type of player to hold a team together. He is the type of player that fits in like a puzzle piece, like a Dak Prescott, like a Kirk Cousins. He will fit in like a puzzle piece as long as the other puzzle pieces fit too. We saw that last year with the Titans. He fit well. He could make the throws as long as you didn't ask him to throw it 40 times in a game down the entire time. As long as he didn't have to do that, he was a solid quarterback. And Tannehill is not the quarterback you want to rely on to win the game. Now let me connect this to what I'm going to say next. This year, Derrick Henry will not be as dominant. And that will be precisely why Tannehill fails as well. The Titans, they're a great team. They have a nice roster. They've got a solid defense, solid offensive line, great running back in Derrick Henry. But I don't believe Derrick Henry will be quite as dominant as he was this year. My reasoning for that? Last year it was kind of out of the blue. Derrick Henry's been in the league for a good while now. Granted, not a super long career, but a good few years. How come we didn't see as that much dominance until this year? It's an interesting question, and you can kind of bring that back to Tannehill, to the fact that they had a solid quarterback in Tannehill who could make the right throws. That could be a big reason for it. But Derrick Henry is not an insanely elusive running back. He's big and he's strong, and he will make you miss. Or he won't make you miss, but he'll make it so you simply can't tackle the guy. He's big and he's strong, and he will charge through you. And I guarantee you, here's the thing. I'm trying to connect my thoughts here, but here's the thing. Derrick Henry, I'm not saying he's not a great running back. He is. He'll still have success, but I don't think the Titans are going to be able to ride on that success anymore like they did last year. Derrick Henry's a solid running back. I'm just trying to pin that down to make you know that. He's a solid running back. He's a great running back. But teams watch film. Teams learn from their mistakes. Even the teams that didn't play against the Titans will figure out a way to prepare for him. It's really, really hard to prepare for a big-time player like that in his first year. It really is. But in this second season, I guarantee you, the second season of this Derrick Henry run, where he's all of a sudden this amazing, dominant running back, I simply don't believe he will have that same level of dominance this year. Now, finally, the Colts. The Colts don't have a solid quarterback, and that is why they will fail. Rivers will realize he waited a season too long to retire and will fall apart on the field this coming season. He fit well with Chargers. Now he has to learn an entirely new offense, get set with a whole new team, right on the brink of retirement. That's a hard thing to do. Now, I'm a little more optimistic with Brady because Brady was still having success even when he went to the Buccaneers, but Phillip Rivers did not find a lot of success last year. He didn't. So that's why I'm a little less, or quite a bit less, optimistic about Rivers. I'm optimistic about Brady because Brady's been having success for the last 20 years and hasn't shown a lot of fumbling in that. I don't mean literal fumbling, but figuratively. He hasn't fumbled around his career a lot. But Rivers, we saw a drop-off this past season. And I don't think that him going to the Colts is going to change that. I think he's going to continue to fall, and I think he's going to realize, I should have retired last year. I should have retired a Charger, shouldn't have gone to the Colts. He said he feels like he has at least one more year in him. But honestly, I don't believe Rivers is the quarterback for the Colts, and I don't believe Brissett is either. Brissett's a solid quarterback, but he's not a guy to turn the team around. He isn't. Now, the Colts don't need a big turnaround. They were in the playoffs in 2018. But again, the Colts will not succeed this year. They have Phillip Rivers at quarterback, and that's going to be their downfall. That's going to be what kills them.